RDTDaily.com presents a Tarabuster with comedian Tara Devlin.
All right. Where were we? I feel like I just left you guys. What's going on? Hello. Thank you for hanging out. This is Tara Devlin, unapologetic liberal talk. Look at my hair. It's a mess. On the right side of history, decency, dignity, democracy, humanity. That's it. That's us. And more. All the good things. Let's fix the camera so we can see some of the cats. I need to move shit over. Oh, well, whatever. This is it. This is Tarabuster Studios. It's like my apartment. Listen. We meet here every Friday evening. This is our Friday get-together at 8:30-ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Jim, on the chat, giving me the feedback. These are my producers to tell me that, the show is flowing. We're flowing. We got audio. We got video. We got it all. We got music. We have everything that a show requires, or so they say. But we have some patrons, and we'd like more. We need patrons at patreon.com/Tara Devlin. Thank you for those who are patrons. Thank you, Jim, for your super chat. Thank you, JD, for your non-stop, never-ending support. It means the world. Thank you, Errol, for your support. And thank you, Charlie from APS Radio News, for your support. You're ongoing and incredibly generous and thoughtful, kind, and I don't know. What else? However, what other words? It keeps me going. Makes me feel like we're not so alone. I'm not so alone, I should say. Not we. Me, myself, and I. The we. And thank you for your support of the community cats. That means the world, and trust me, your support does go to the community cats, because as I've told you, I think the PayPal is connected straight to Chewy, and that's where we get the community cat supplies. So it goes right. Whatever you donate to for the community cats goes to the community cats. So thank you. All right. Thank you, Charlie. Oh, yeah. And let me explain. I'm sorry. Charlie has me on his roster over at APS Radio News. He is an independent media outlet or person hosting a media outlet, I should say. Charlie's not the outlet. The show, the platform, APS Radio News. He puts his heart and soul into it, aggregating content and giving voice and a platform to independent media voices, not necessarily on the left side of the aisle, I hear tell, but not too crazy, not like a Alex Jones or something. He would never tolerate that. So, but he does. Yeah, he's a good American. He's a great American. Charlie at APS Radio News. If you check it out, please do, and tell Charlie that Tara sent you. And I'm very proud to be a part of the APS Radio News family, one of the voices. So thank you so much, Charlie, for spreading the word, the unapologetic liberal talk. Okay, listen, guys. Okay, what else? We're on Rockfin, all the other places. Give the show a good review. Thank you very much. Somebody gave the show not a good review. And so we can, I will continue to say I'm 5 stars on iTunes, because when a Trumpanzee says something about you, it means you're doing it right. So that's actually a good review. So go on over to, if you can, Apple, and give the show a good review. All of that stuff, like the show. Okay, I've given you enough orders. Let's get back to business here. Oh, I feel like I'm forgetting something, though, but I guess it'll come to me. It'll come to my mind, so they say. So we left off. Where were we when we left off? So we had a show. We meet here on Friday nights, for those who are new, around the 8:30-ish Eastern Standard Time. And I also try to have a show during the week. So that's what you get. If you are a supporter, yeah, and we hang out. We like to get to know each other in the chat rooms. I'll go on over to youtube.com/C for channel/Tarabuster to hang out in the greatest chat room in American history. And meet your new friends, your new best friends over there. It is a community, and it's one of the things that keeps me going and continues to keep me going. It kept me going through the pandemic, that's for sure. We have a good time here. Yes, Errol says, I have the most fun on here. We do, right? I don't know. I do. So, what was I saying? So, we we got together on Wednesday. We try to do a weekday show. Sometimes I try to keep it at Wednesday. Got to be consistent. But sometimes I can't do a Wednesday, so it has to be Tuesday or Thursday. So, got to be a little flexible with me, guys. And so what were we talking? We left off with, I still had things to talk about in the queue. But I think I'm losing my voice here. I'm always losing my voice. I don't know why. I will battle through. So one of the things, so many things going on. It never ends. And what I want to talk about, well, what I named the show tonight is to call Trump Hoover is to honor him. In fact, he's worse than Hoover. And I think it's a good idea for Joe Biden to label Trump Donald Hoover Trump. And that's a good moniker that will stick. But he is actually worse than Hoover. And it's not simply because of the pandemic, which he excuses himself. He continued. Well, first of all, we know he's a filthy liar, as they all are. And right before we went on air, I saw this clip of Tim Scott, Uncle Tim. They have no shame. Republicans, they just lie. They simply lie. And, for example, here's Tim Scott doing his master's work.
Under the Republican Party, the great Opportunity Party offers. And Sean, I've said it before and I'll say it again.
Party.
Under President Donald Trump, we brought the lowest unemployment rates to minorities the country's ever seen. No. We created 7 million new jobs.
No.
The Republican Party, the great Opportunity Party,
the great Opportunity Party offers. It's just bullshit that they blow up, their victims. I wouldn't call them viewers of Fox News. They're victims. But it doesn't matter what the truth is. They just say whatever the hell they want to say. And they are confident in the fact that no one's going to fact check it. Just say it. It doesn't matter. Like the con man. He doesn't have to have any actual policies. He just says it's the greatest. It's the best. Whatever he does is best. And in fact, do I have this clip? I saw him yesterday, the traitor, saying, they're all traitors, but Trump saying never would have happened. He was asked about the attack on Israel and the attack on Ukraine. And what's his policies? Where does he stand? And he doesn't need to say anything because he just says, oh, well, if I was president, it would never happen. This would never have happened. And then he moves on. So you see how that works? It's like magic. It would never happen. So why? Let's move on. He doesn't have to have any expertise. He doesn't have to have any policies. He doesn't have to explain anything. Just, by magic, something would never have happened. Oh, here it is. I have the clip.
If you were in the White House today, would you strike Iran directly?
It wouldn't have happened if I were in the White House.
He was talking about the 3 service people who were killed. And so he's asked, if you were in the White House today, would you strike Iran directly? And now, as we speak, there's an attack going on. It's hard to keep up with all the wars breaking out all over.
It wouldn't have happened if I were in the White House.
It wouldn't have happened. That's
you would
the
have
answer.
never had this attack. You would have never had the attack on Israel. You would have never had the attack on Ukraine.
Yeah, it's like,
you
like
would not have inflation that was, just
like
is destroying our
Forrest Gump. He's the Forrest Gump of success. He's just he's Midas touch. Whatever he touches turns to gold. Whatever he touches turns to fabulous success. Except we got the receipts that say otherwise, that everything he touches dies. It never would have happened. I mean, even before, it's even before, whatever, it doesn't matter, the economy. Now we're getting these great numbers. In fact, Fox News is having to admit that the economy is good. Hold on a second. I'll be right back. We're back talking about how Trader Trump and, it's the rest of the Republicans, they just simply lie. And Uncle Tim Scott is talking about, and this is a what do you call it? This is a stat that they continuously repeat. That's the other thing. They repeat the lies until it becomes true, I guess. Because I've actually heard MAGA morons, for example, these dumbasses say that if he were the so-called president, despite receiving fewer votes, meaning if he were successful in his coup to disrupt the peaceful transfer of power and maintain his parasitic carcass in the White House, despite receiving fewer votes and being voted out of office, then that it's true. There would never be an attack on Ukraine or Israel. Why? How? Because he's so respected by the world? Trump was the most vilified con man in the entire Western Democratic Alliance, but he was the bitch of every autocrat walking. He's not, Putin is no fool. He knows what Trump is. Trump is the most easily manipulated grifter, thin-skinned little puppet that he could have ever prayed for. All he has to do is blow smoke up his ass and promise him some gold or something, right? Maybe promise him a couple of hookers to urinate on a bed that Barack Obama and Michelle Obama once slept on. That's all it takes. Just has to stroke his fragile ego and promise him something to shove into that gaping black hole of need and greed that is bottomless. But the fact is, Tim Scott, he says, under President Trump, as we just played, we brought the lowest unemployment rates to minorities. Tim Scott is so annoying, too. He's so irritating. I don't know if you saw him. There was another clip of him on Fox. He's like, oh God, I have to play it. I can't even do it justice. Where is it? Tim Scott, Uncle Tim. Well, I'll find him. He's like, the Biden economy? I don't know I can't even do it. It's so irritating. Legally and peacefully irritating. Wait, hold on. How's everybody doing out there while I'm grabbing clips? But where the hell is it? Sorry, guys. Don't tune away. This is Tara Devil on Progressive Voices channel on TuneIn. That's right. I know. Okay, this is why I ask you to become a patron, because maybe we'll get, some help around here once in a while. Maybe I get somebody to pull the clips. So, only got 2 hands, 2 eyes, a very big brain, and awesome people in the chat room. That's really all you need for a YouTube show. So, under President Donald Trump, he's got to make sure he really works his member there. We brought the lowest unemployment rates to minorities the country has ever seen, he said. Yes, unemployment rates for several minority groups had fallen to record lows in 2019, continuing a trend. You see, this is part of the reason why Trump is Herbert Hoover and worse, and we'll get to the worst part too, because he inherited an economy that was booming. And this is what Republicans do. If we look at the history, this is why I'm so sick of the average Joe moron. And really, I do blame the corporate media, as you know. Because why doesn't the average Joe moron know that the economy does better under Democrats? Always. The whole country does better under Democrats. And the Democrats have better job numbers, better unemployment numbers. I mean, we have better numbers for everything. Democrats have a more economically vibrant, upwardly mobile policy provisions or policy stances, and when they get to enact those policies, in spite of the conservative albatrosses standing athwart history, yelling "stop," then the country does better in every metric. You know, people are richer. They have a better quality of life. Healthcare. They have, I mean, for example, right now, as we speak, the House passed, I don't know if you heard about it, they did one thing. The House passed this unprecedented, I mean, for this House, they passed an economic bill. Because why? How did they do it? It was the Democrats wanted expanded child tax credits, that pulled, because the tax credits that we had during the pandemic that lifted, I don't know the number off the top of my head, that lowered the child poverty rate in this country to record lows, of course. And then, of course, the conservatives, the Republicans, with the help of Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, they let it expire. It was supposed to be permanent. The Democrats wanted to make it permanent in the infrastructure. I mean, in the recovery bill, the pandemic, the response to the pandemic included these tax credits, and they work. They work for people. It helps. It helps the economy. It helps everybody, not just the people receiving the economic aid. It helps the entire, because this is when you give economic aid to people who spend the money, it goes right back into the economy. Unlike when you give tax cuts, which is what the Republicans demanded in this unprecedented bill. And the reason it's unprecedented is because it's actually happening in this do-nothing Congress, this do-nothing Republican clown show. They passed this bill, but the cost of the bill was the Republicans demanded more tax cuts for the rich, more money funneled into the pockets, the already overstuffed pockets of the rich. That's it. I mean, that in a nutshell, that describes the priorities of the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party are trying to help people, trying to help this country from the bottom up. And the Republican Party is just licking boots of the billionaires who are the problem. They're not. They do nothing for this system of government. They are a symptom that points to the fact that we are a sick system. A billionaire. The fact that there are billionaires is a disgrace. We should be ashamed. Sort of like Trump is a symptom of a sick system, so are billionaires. Hold on, be right back. So Uncle Tim, he gets on there. He's very good at spreading bullshit. Well, that's his job. He's a human shield for Republican bigotry, and he does like to repeat lies, like like we're not a racist country, or they have nothing to back this up except platitudes. And Tim Scott, they're like, hey, look, I'm Tim Scott. I got darker pigment. Sort of like when, George W. Bush, he said, when they accuse me of being racist, I just point to Condi Rice. I point to Colin Powell. See, because that's all that matters to them. It's, the tokens. Hey, it's a token. It doesn't matter. The system isn't broken. There's nothing we can do here. Look at these two. Look at Condi Rice. Somehow it basically means nothing to see here. Move along. And if you're not Condi Rice or Colin Powell, it's your fault. You're just not working hard enough. Right? They really do. They really must hate they do. They hate as far as Tim Scott is concerned, he must really, I don't know, to psychoanalyze him, I would think you have to have a serious level of self-loathing to think that this is not a racist country when, the economic wealth gap between black families and white families is a chasm. And and he must think that I guess he must buy into the the old trope that if you give people help, if there's a social safety net, if there's, any hand up, then you're creating hammocks, like social safety net hammocks for people to lounge around in. And that's really a very an old racist trope that goes back to slavery, where the slave owners would say that, well, they needed to enslave people with darker pigment because they were inherently lazy. And if it weren't for their enslavement, they would just lay around doing nothing. They're actually being enslaved, and being forced to work is giving them a purpose in life, whereas they would simply lay around and, drink or something and just be lazy. And that's what it's the same. It really is what the Republicans say when they say that that giving people help is making them lazy. Because they really do hate the American people. If they think that, you really have no faith in the American people. Especially, you think that that's what people want to do. No, but people would like to be treated like human beings, certainly. But that doesn't mean that, just give somebody that just want to lay around doing nothing. But conversely, if you give everything to the top, it's the exact opposite. If the more you give to billionaires, the more productive they are, apparently. Because I guess when they look in their bank accounts and they see all those zeros, they'll never spend in a million lifetimes, and they're like, the precious. They get very motivated, I guess, like Trump. I don't know. It's a freaking disgrace. But anyway, unemployment rates, to continue with Tim Scott's lies. So, yes, unemployment rates for several minority groups had fallen to record lows in 2019, continuing a trend that the con man would soon destroy, leaving office as Herbert Hoover. But worse, that trend was happening before the pandemic, because Trump likes to blame the pandemic. Nothing is his fault. We know that. But he's worse than Herbert Hoover, because just like Herbert Hoover, in fact, Herbert Hoover never told. I mean, Herbert Hoover kept his laissez-faire bullshit, hands off, but he never hoped for a crash. Like Trump is hoping for a crash, right? He never hoped for pain, or at least openly, cause pain to the American people for his political gain. I don't think so. I don't know. Did Herbert Hoover kill 1 million people by telling them, not to do the basic things that, in fact, it was, the basic things to combat or to protect themselves against the Depression? It's really unfathomable. I can't talk. Unfathomable to think how, when we go back and go down memory lane, to think that we had this con man. It was not only we had to battle the coronavirus, we had to battle the propaganda, the lies, the division that the Republicans were inflicting on this country. When it could have been a moment of national unity, of course, but that's what Republicans do. They never take the opportunity and cultivate national unity. In fact, when I think about September 11th, because we hear Republicans talk about, the terrorist attacks on September 11th. Remember how unified the country was? Yeah, remember that? And what a missed opportunity. Republicans took that national unity that of the time, and they manipulated it and exploited it to invade a country, illegally invade a country that they had designs on invading for over 40 years that had nothing to do with the attack. They lied us into a war. They took that goodwill of the American people, the unity, and they exploited it to their gain, not to the gain of the American people or those who needlessly died, or the Iraqis, the 1 million more people, that needlessly died because of Dick Cheney and and George W. Bush. It's unbelievable to think that somebody who lied us into a war, there's no consequences to that. But that's what Republicans do. If we had let's say, if Al Gore was in office on September 11th, and, if he had assumed the office that he won, right, because he received the most votes, and after everything was counted, after the election, after the Supreme Court stepped in and stopped the vote count, and they did I think it was the New York Times counted the votes. They finally went in and counted all the votes in Florida. Al Gore won, and in fact, I remember just paraphrasing, it was under any measure, Al Gore won the presidency. If you counted dimpled chads, bubbled chads, whatever, ripped chads, remember all that? Al Gore won. And so if he had assumed the presidency that he won, and this is to even say that maybe we wouldn't have even been attacked. Maybe he would have paid attention when he received the presidential daily brief that said Osama bin Laden determined to strike within the United States. He would have done something about it instead of saying, okay, you've done your job, now go home, which is what Bush did. And instead of using that moment to go invade a country that had nothing to do with September 11th and make everything worse, make everything that you touch worse, maybe Al Gore we could have unified this country, that feeling of national unity, to do like another not Green New Deal, but like a revitalize the whole energy system of the nation. Why not a Green New Deal? You know what I mean? Where it's sort of like if we would have followed Carter's, remember the speech by Jimmy Carter, because Republicans always mock Jimmy Carter. Even when at the funeral of his wife, the con man said something about, because this is what a piece of dirt he is. He said, Jimmy Carter's happy now or something because he's no longer the worst president. As if, right? And he's not. He wasn't even the worst president, because if we had followed Jimmy Carter's initiatives, his green initiatives, we would have been free from foreign oil from the year 2000. So Republicans always hold us back because of greed. Hold on. But I always wonder about if, let's say, Al Gore was in the White House during September 11th and that happened, and taking that national unity, we had an opportunity to have a new, a new space race, so to speak, or unify this country and say, we will go be free of foreign oil. We'll never again go into need to use. We'll never be in the Middle East. We'll be independent. And I think that could have happened. I don't know if I'm explaining it correctly, but it seems like a missed opportunity to me. And it's also a tragedy, the way that the Republicans, look at the way they have so ripped this country apart. And we're back on the verge of another civil war. They keep talking about it. That's how it begins. In the Republican mind, they're already in a civil war. What does it mean when the Texas, Greg Abbott, he's not complying with the Supreme Court, even though, I hate the damn illegitimate Supreme Court, of course, but they told the sociopath or psychopath, Greg Abbott, that he can't put razor wire in the frickin' water and kill people trying to cross the Rio Grande. I know it's like Dick Cheney liked to watch the videos of us torturing people. He loved that. And Greg Abbott, I guess he loves to kill people. He loves to stand by and watch people drown and, get defamed and murdered, or mutilated and drown. And so he's saying he's not complying. And then you have these other Republican governors who are supposedly, throwing in their lot with him. And what does that say? So you'll only abide by the Supreme Court laws that you feel like, right? So they're already in the process of secession. What are you doing? I mean, you're supposed to. So we're all supposed to send our women to back alleys to die and to needlessly die and turn women into the Handmaid's Tale. Because of the Supreme Court. We're also supposed to allow unfettered money into our political system because of the Supreme Court, but they won't take razors out of the water. And you can't pick and choose the laws. But that's not. This is the Republicans for you. They're not a law and order party. They are an authoritarian party. That's it. Law and order is for people with darker pigment. Law and order is for the underdog. It doesn't apply to the rich. That's why they're so up in arms against Trump being held accountable for his lifelong history of lies and crimes, not just lies. What am I talking about? The lies where he inflates the size of his apartment when he wants a loan and deflates it when he wants when he has to pay taxes, which he never paid. You know, one year he paid $750 in taxes, which was actually an improvement from all the other years where we had to pay him. He got nothing. I mean, he paid nothing, and we had to give him a return, like you know, we had to give him money because he had lost so much, millions of dollars. I mean, I paid more than that son of a bitch, that lying goddamn grifter. I mean, it's just unbelievable. But anyway, okay. This is a Tarabuster. What can you say? So nice to see you, and thank you, Jim, for your super chat on the super chat. Always Jim with the super chats. Very, very appreciated, Jim. You definitely set the standard there. But hold on a second. Where is it? I lost the thing. So, okay. To get back to Uncle Tim. So, yes, unemployment rates for several minority groups had fallen to record lows in 2019, continuing the trend set by Obama, because it was all going up. All he had to do was, it was sort of like when George W. Bush was handed a record economy on the rise, and in fact they had balanced the budget and we had a surplus. What did Republicans do with that? Not only did they blow the goodwill of the country and, well, allow a terrorist attack to happen, either by incompetence or whatnot, or, you know, I mean, this is, could you imagine? Here's another thing. I'm sorry to go on another tangent, but if a Democrat was, let's say if Al Gore was in the White House when the Trade Center was attacked and the Pentagon, and we were attacked on September 11th, do you think that there would be national unity in the country? Or do you think Republicans would have exploited that, and on their propaganda channels, all you would hear is Al Gore, let it happen. Under Al Gore, this is the first time we've been attacked on our soil since World War II, since the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. That's all we would hear. You know it. There would be no unity. That's another thing. That, you know, the Democrats don't behave like that, much to my chagrin, because you know, when you're on the right side of history and decency and dignity and democracy, you should fight like you are. You should stand up. Stand up and fight. Wait, hold on. Somebody's texting me about this. Hold on. Okay, so let's get back to, but unemployment soared to its highest level in decades in 2020, in the early months of the pandemic. And Trump ended his presidency with an overall jobless rate of 6.3%, an increase of 1.6 from when he took office. Unemployment fell again under Joe Biden in April 2023. The jobless rate for Black Americans dropped below 5% for the first time ever. So, you know, numbers, facts. What, Pisha? What's that? Yeah, when you have nothing but lies. They have nothing to boast about in reality. So of course they have to spread lies. They just say it. And you know that you will hear this disingenuous statistic coming out of all their mouths all the time. And people will repeat it. They will. You'll hear it on Fox News. You'll hear it come out of the mouths of all their mouthpieces, of all their minions in the halls of Congress. So Jamie Harrison took that little and that lie that Tim Scott told, and he pushed back on Twitter, and he said, actually, Senator Tim Scott, here, let me show you what I'm looking at here. Actually, Senator Tim Scott, President Joe Biden brought the lowest unemployment rate for minorities. created 14.3 million new jobs, forgave 137 billion of student loan debt, and it would have been more, frankly, if not for the Republicans standing in athwart history yelling stop. For almost 4 million people. It would have been more. It would have been, of course, the board. And that would have, of course, increased economic vibrancy in in the economy, of course, or vibrancy in the economy. Reduced the cost of insulin to $35 a month for recipients of Medicare, and would have been across the board if not for Republicans. Passed the first gun safety legislation in 30 years, and would have been an actual, assault weapons ban and gun safety, gun legislation that that matters, that actually is a gun safety bill instead of just nibbling around the edges because of Republicans standing in the way. Invested over $3 trillion in repairing the nation's roads and bridges, despite the majority of Republicans standing in the way, voting against it, and we'll get to them taking credit for it. Provided broadband to rural Americans, like the dumbasses who are right now tweeting, spreading lies. They're sitting in their rural hovels, just like what FDR brought electricity to these backwater places, because knowing that if we want to be a modern country, the whole country needs to be connected, and it needs to have access to electricity. And that's what FDR did, despite the conservatives of his time. Hold on, I'll continue. We'll be back. This is Tara Devlin. So he provided. When I think about Joe Biden providing free broadband to rural Americans, many of them are maggots, and they don't understand that. They think, hey, I did it myself. This is all me. I do it all myself. And they're right now on there crying and blaming and disparaging big government. And they're sitting in their homes with, some of them are on Social Security disability. Some of them are on Social Security. Some of them are on Medicare, Medicaid. You know it. Sitting in there on their computers, spreading racist memes and talking about FJB and let's go Brandon, and right, without the maturity, the manners, the intelligence, the self-awareness to say thanks, man, thanks, Dark Brandon, thanks, Democrats, for the civilization that you create, and the people I vote for stand athwart history yelling stop at. So, okay, he posted the highest stock market in history, so much so that Joe Biden, the freaking con man, parasite, Trader Trump, he's gone from, well, I think he's still hoping the economy will crash, but he's now saying he has to take credit for it. Now that's how you know that they know it's doing well, because the con man is trying to take credit, even though what are you taking credit for? You killed over 1 million Americans. You did nothing. You left office worse than Herbert Hoover, the first president to leave office with less jobs, without creating a single damn job. Nothing. That is a Republican baseline in general. George Bush. Every time that they leave office, there's more. They lower the bar, and then we have to come in and clean it up. clean it up for them, and then we got to listen to their bullshit constantly. Oh, we're not cleaning it up fast enough. We're not cleaning up good enough. Oh, look over here. There's a problem that they helped create. They do nothing. What do they do? Except point fingers, stand in the way. They're not sincere partners in a functioning society. They're not trying to have a functioning society. Look at the border. We finally, given them what they want. The president said he's going to shut down the border. They don't want that because they want to propagandize. They want to fearmonger. They want to point to the border. And I really hope that Joe Biden goes down to the border and, he uses this, it disarms these clowns, these Republican clowns of their cudgel that they've been using forever and ever. They don't want to do anything. They never did want to do anything about the border. And whenever there's been an attempt to do something about it, they stand in the way. Even when their own Republicans, get involved, like the Gang of Eight, coming up with legislation that both parties can agree to. They don't want anything to do with it. They'd much rather have the crisis. You see, that's another reason why Trump, instead of uniting the country around the coronavirus, which was another opportunity lost, where we could have all been in this together. It breaks my heart because I would read things during the pandemic, and we talked about them on the air here. I know this guy's giving me, he's making me dizzy, that guy. There's a video playing that's on loop for those listening on the chat. I mean, on the audio only. But when I remember reading about, during the pandemic, and I was reading what was happening in other parts of the world. And for example, in New Zealand, they didn't have all this bullshit about freedom. Nobody was asking these idiots to do nothing more than put a stupid thin piece of cloth on their fucking stink mouths, on their hot breath mouth. That's it. That was too much. That's why I say these are people who would not pull a hair for this country. They don't. They'd rather wear a shirt that says eagles and stars, But they run. They wear, these colors don't run. They run every time. They run, they hide, they whine, they bitch and complain. They do nothing. That's too much patriotism for them. Giving a shit about somebody else. This is how they have destroyed this country too. To define freedom as I don't need to give a shit about you, my fellow Americans. Freedom to them is I get to do whatever I want. I get all the benefits of civilization, but I don't have any responsibilities to you. I want all the benefits. I want the rural broadband. I want the $35 a month insulin. All right? I want to be able to go to a movie or a synagogue or the church or whatever, or a country music concert without being massacred. I want all that. I want my student loan debt reduced and gone. I want my pre-existing conditions protections. I want that all. But I don't want to do anything. I don't want to, do anything for you. I don't want to be bothered to put a piece of fucking cloth on my face. That's too much. Even though you might save somebody's life, maybe even your own. Republicans, they so disgraced this country during the pandemic. What a joke. What a disgrace. They wouldn't put on a mask. And then now they're all proclaiming themselves, oh, we were so freedom. It was all freedom. It was all about freedom. But that's what the Republicans have done. They've changed freedom from you can have a decent middle class life. You will work in a, if you're not born with a trust fund like Trader Trump and all the Republican benefactors, you'll work in for a living wage and decent working conditions. And you get to retire, and enjoy your life. Life is, for living, not just for working. So somebody else can have another tax break. And if you get sick, you have the freedom to be a human being. You have the freedom to be frail and need a day off and need to be with your family when they're sick. That's what freedom means, right? The freedom to be a human being for this blip of time that we share. But that's not freedom to the Republicans. Their freedom means I don't need to give a shit about you, but you better give me all that I think I deserve. It's like Goldilocks. It's all government is just right in the ways it serves them, or so they think. But it all serves them. That's why just think about how Trump and the Republicans, how they deliberately divided this country. And they continued to. And then spread their conspiracy theories about how, about Dr. Fauci. This guy, that's a patriot for you. A public servant for his entire life. And he's got to put up with these goddamn maggots. Making every meme about talking as if he's some kind of psyop, some nefarious, supervillain that wants them to wear a piece of cloth on their face. Oh, first comes the cloth, because that's what they say, and then they're conditioning you to do what? Oh, you're to follow, to comply with big government. Because you're already complying. What do you want to comply? Comply with what? Talk about comply. You try not complying in the Republican Party. Try being somebody that goes in there and says, you know what? Maybe Trump is a traitor. Maybe he did rape E. Jean Carroll. Could you imagine? Oh, they don't want to comply though. It's like every day is backwards, opposite day. Forget Groundhog Day. It is like Groundhog Day and opposite day. It's like all the days that suck put together. Hold on. We'll be right back. Am I wrong or am I right? I'm right, I know. Yeah, so that's why this is why, my God, I always say they want all the benefits. They just don't, and they lack the maturity to say thanks. Thank you. Thank you, FDR, for literally taking my little hovel and out of the darkness, let's say. Thank you for creating socialist security. And when I argue with conservatives sometimes on wherever, Twitter, or they'll say something on the YouTube feed or whatever, they say, if I bring up Social Security, they say, well, I paid for that. I paid into that. Meaning it's not socialism. It's not a government. Like, I deserve that. I paid into that. Well, yeah. What do you think we're talking about? What do you think universal health care is, you fucking moron? I'm so sick of it. You pay into it. Now you know that if hopefully in my lifetime, I'll see us, this sad effing dumbass country, pass universal health care in some form. And without, we don't really have it, even though they can't deny you now, even though the Republicans are trying to bring that back, or they're trying to undo the pre-existing conditions protection, like all the things that Republicans are like, I want it, even though, but, Republicans, that's what they do. They're trying to, in fact, they're trying to end the $35 a month insulin, and they're going to court to try to prevent Medicare and Medicaid from negotiating drug prices. That was another win for the Democrats for years, because the Republicans, they put that in, because like the masters of the universe, they don't want to have to negotiate. They just want to be able to like turn you upside down and shake you by your ankles and take whatever comes out without you having any recourse to say anything about it. They liked that Americans were dumb enough to vote for the people giving them and protecting them from having low drug prices. We paid the highest drug prices in the world. Why? Because Republicans allowed it, despite the Democrats trying to do something about it. Over and over and over again. Incredible how quickly they forget. But there you go. So to continue with Jamie Harrison's rebuke of Uncle Tim Scott's lies that Donald J. Trump, like as if he gave a shit about African American unemployment. If anything, if there was any benefit anytime, anywhere for anybody coming from the Trumpanzee policies, that was purely an accident. It's purely coincidental. That's just a freaking happy accident if that ever happened. But, he'll take credit for it. What the hell did he do? Nothing. Because this is how when when the economy was still going. It was going because of Barack Obama's policies. The Republicans hadn't done a thing. They hadn't done anything. They didn't pass anything but a tax cut to the 1% again. And what did that do? Except add to the deficit. He added 2 or 4 I think it was $2 trillion to the deficit that they pretend to care so much about. They're so concerned about it. And that's why I'm saying, like, how does how is it that that dumbass Americans are under this misconception, this false impression that the Republicans are good for the economy? That just goes to show you the power of propaganda. It's true, because they're watching Fox News. They're hearing it. They're hearing their masters tell them, oh, the economy's great. It's great. For them. And everything that sucks. It's not because the tax cuts for the 1% and the rich are getting richer and the working class are falling into the more malleable category of working poor. Oh, that's not because of the Republican policies. It's because of an immigrant, getting over. Somebody having $15 more in their food stamps or something. Some welfare queen is taking advantage. All right? They care. They want you to care about $16 somebody might get, who spends the money in the local economy. But they don't want you to look at the trillions going into the arms of the oligarchy. Of course not. We're waiting for the trickle. How long do you got to wait for a trickle? And the trickle is also an offense, which I never hear the corporate media. Even when they say this trickle down bullshit, anybody talks about the trickle. The Democrats say what it is, that it's a scam, it's a voodoo economic, not, that caused the problems of economic disparity and upward immobility. But no one ever really points out that even the term trickle down is offensive. And I mean, it speaks to a sense of I guess it's not victim. It's like a learned helplessness, I guess, where you don't even question that you don't deserve anything better than a trickle, right? What's a trickle? It's not even, you can't water your lawn with a trickle. What's a trickle? How long do you got to wait to fill up your cup with a trickle? Right? When what about taking a shower? You can't take a shower in a trickle. You can't, if you're coming out of the desert, if you're like, trickle, I need a trickle of water. Well, you can't quench your thirst on a trickle. But that's how they have bashed people into submission, I guess. We're sort of like waiting for a trickle. Not even waiting for the deluge, or however, I can't talk. They're not waiting for the wave or the flood. You're just satisfied with a trickle. Because why? Who taught you how to hate yourself, Americans? Working people? Is that all you're worth? A trickle? You see, that's how confident the masters of the universe, the oligarchs who buy politicians and run government, and especially the Republicans, that's how much that's how confident they are in your submission. And the Republicans are like, no one's gonna tell me what to do when I put a piece of cloth over my face. I'm free. Hold on. We'll be right back. Oh, we're back. Okay, let me see. Let's continue with Jamie Harrison's tweet, going again, point by point against Uncle Tim Scott's lies. So let's see. He posted the highest stock market in history, invested the most of any nation in combating the climate crisis, appointed more black women to the federal judiciary than all presidents combined. And of course, we know that all that Trump picked were old white crackers on the bench. Are you kidding me? Please. He's such a fucking horrible throwback to the Gilded Age. I mean, not even. He's like he is the Dark Ages. Ugh. God. Everybody who was living in the Dark Ages didn't want to live there. We don't want to go back. So, yes, he changed the primary so diverse voices have a greater say, banned federal chokeholds and no-knock warrants. Since you blocked the George Floyd Justice Act, Uncle Tim, because he's so, there's no racism or nothing to see. Oversaw the greatest investment in American manufacturing with the CHIPS Act, took care of our veterans and military families impacted by toxins with the PACT Act. How much more time and how many more characters do I have left? Because I'm just getting started. Well, Tim can just go, it's the best. You don't need facts when you're a Republican. That's it. I mean, they count on that. You don't need to back it up. You don't need to have the receipts. They'll just take your word because they want to believe it. They want to believe their worldview is correct or whatever. Whatever. I'm done with them. I'm done. Nice to see you, everybody. Let me check in. Biden is Trucker John. Biden is coming to Las Vegas on Sunday. That's good. That's good. Are you going to see him, Trucker? Anybody come on over to youtube.com/C for channel /Tarabuster. We're just getting started tonight. There's let's see. Doesn't look like. Oh, it looks like a lot of. It's not as populated as it usually is in the Tarabuster community. What the hell is going on? But I mean, I love everybody who's there. I'm just looking at the other people who are watching. We have some, we have you guys in the chat, and then I could see others watching. But it looks like not as many tonight. I don't know why. Than usual. I know it doesn't matter. It don't matter. It don't matter. We'll keep going. We will keep going and growing with your help on patreon.com/terrordevil and anywhere else you want to help this damn show, because we have to pay things. It's not free. That's why I'm so grateful to Charlie from APS Radio News. He's a fan and a supporter, and I don't know. I mean, I really do appreciate it. Why can't I search? I'm trying to search my computer, and I'm having problems. Believe it or not, guys. So speaking of, but and this says everything that you really need to know about the Republicans, about what they really think of the economy in general, that they take credit for it. Trump is now taking credit for Biden's economy, saying first he was saying he hopes it crashes and he's not Herbert Hoover, but he is Herbert Hoover. And here it is. Here's this annoying clip from Uncle Tim.
We want a Biden economy? Ha! No way in the world do we want a Biden economy. We want Trump. Tax cuts, opportunity zones, and more opportunities for everyone.
What the fuck is an opportunity zone? That's just another buzzword for the Republicans, like tax breaks, right? Is that... We want tax cuts, because tax cuts are so good for the economy, and they pay for themselves. That's another bullshit they've been saying over and over and over for years. It's not true. And look at this Rick Scott guy over here. I don't understand. This is why I guess I do the show. It's almost like it's like therapy. I need to work out in general, process. Who votes for these people? Look at Rick Scott. You got Tim Scott and Rick Scott there. This ghoul. This, he looks like the goddamn crypt keeper, pre-mortis crypt keeper. He does. Looks like what the crypt keeper looked like alive. And he's a criminal himself. He was indicted on the largest Medicaid fraud in history, right? Has he been surpassed yet? I'm sure he will be. And people vote for him. Yeah, opportunity for the very rich, nothing for the plebs, Terry on the chat says. It's so true. But who votes for people who are involved in the great or the most egregious Medicaid fraud? Robbing Medicaid and Medicare. Who votes for that? He was the head of some insurance company, and they made their bones robbing from we the people. That's what they did. They took money from us, but they're supposed to be so good with the economy. That's why they have to steal and grift and buy politicians and make sure the game is rigged in their favor, right? I don't know. I saw this clip. I was like, I really want to punch something.
We want a Biden economy? Ha! No way in the...
Ha! What is that? You fucking you pantomime.
World do we want a Biden economy? We want
No
Biden
way in the
economy.
world.
Ha, no
Am I the only one that wants to commit acts of legal and peaceful something?
way in the
When I hear that,
we want a Biden economy. Ha, no way in
oh my God, shut the fuck up, these people. Well, here's a good clip. Where is it? I got some good clips here. Well, this is why Republicans are useless. You really should stop voting for them if that's what you've done. Okay. See the light. Stop slitting your own throat. And just stop. Stop voting for them. Because they count on your stupidity. I mean, these are people who take credit for legislation they voted against. I mean, they routinely, and here's an example. This is Maria Salazar. She's a Florida representative, and she's being interviewed by a local reporter, and he's grilling her. Well, not in the, in the legal and peaceful way.
Last month, you were at FIU and you presented a check for $650,000 to help small businesses at FIU.
Look at her
But
face.
you voted against the bill that gave the money that you then signed a check for and handed and had a photo op, the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2023.
Bill?
Right?
Bill?
You voted against that bill.
Right now, you have to give me more details, but
More
I do know that every
details.
time I have an opportunity to bring money to my constituents.
You had an opportunity to bring money to your constituents, and you voted against it. And you voted against it again. You not just once, twice, 3 times a lady. You just keep voting against it. But you like to tweet pictures with giant checks and go out there and sign at the ribbon cutting and all kinds of photo ops with these pointing at it. Hey, look what I did. You did nothing. We did it. We did it for your community. We did it for the idiots who, some of them are maggots and some of them are like, get your government hands out of here. When they're all like, oh, good thing I got a job now, working at the chips factory. Good thing. I got broadband now. While I sit here in my subsidized housing, taking my $35 insulin.
I do so. I just did $400,000. But look,
you voted against.
You voted against the Chips and Science Act, right?
Listen, right now I need to ask my staff. But what about the $40 million that I have brought to this community? Aren't you proud of me? Aren't you proud of the $40 million?
Aren't you proud of me?
Aren't you proud that I wrote the Dignity Act? Haven't I? Let's talk about the Americas Act.
Wait a second. Let me 1 second.
Tell me.
The money that you talk about.
See, that's what they do. She was trying to roll over him. Hold on, we'll play the rest of it when we come back. All right, we're back. We're talking about how Republicans take credit for the very things that they vote against, and they try to, when they're pressed on it, they do the old Republican dirty tricks. They just plow right through, try to deflect. They try to change the subject. I got to talk to my staff. I don't know. Aren't you proud of me? I did this. I did that. Yeah, but you voted again. I brought $400,000 to the district. Yeah, you voted against that, but you took credit for it. She was surprised she was challenged.
$40 million that you bring back to the district. Sometimes that money comes from bills that you voted against. You voted against the CHIPS Act, and yet you praise the fact that the South Florida Climate Resilience Tech Hub is going to be started in Miami, right? You voted against the infrastructure bill, and you talk about all the money that comes back to the airport. So at the same time that you're taking credit for the money that you bring back to the district, in Washington, you're voting against these projects on party line votes.
Listen, that was, I think, last cycle. I cannot really remember
that
right
was
now,
last
but just
cycle.
Let's look at the
I
Americas
can't
Act,
remember.
which is what I'm going to, which is
So
what I would like.
you don't want to explain why you vote
really
against
cannot.
things.
I mean, right now, and I'm not
You
trying to
can't
be a
explain
politician.
it.
There's so
You're
many
not?
bills that I've
That's what
introduced
you
that I
are.
know that
No,
many
these are
of
bills
them
that you
have been-
voted against.
That I understand, but it's okay. Sometimes I
significant
vote and
bills.
sometimes I don't. But let's look at the positive.
Sometimes I vote, sometimes I don't. Let's look at the positive. It came anyway, in spite of me. The Democrats were able to do their job, and as they always do, and advance our interests despite me and my compatriots in the Republican Party standing in the way. So vote for me. Vote for me. I do nothing for you. Vote for me. I'm a pimple on the ass of progress. Vote for me. And so the Democrats have somebody to, I guess, try to overcome. I'm going to stand in the way yelling, stop. But trust me, I'm going to take that big giant check. There are pictures of her holding a big check. Just tweeting out there, just tweets galore, how proud she is of herself.
Look at the $40 million that I brought, and let's look at the...
She's got no shame. They have no shame. It's just like on par with Uncle Tim, lying about the unemployment rate for African Americans. And there are more. I mean, Tommy Tuberville voted against Joe Biden's infrastructure bill, but then later took credit for the benefits of it. Marsha Blackburn, same thing. But then she promoted a $26 million grant for a transit project that she, boasted about. But that was, she voted against. John Cornyn voted against the infrastructure bill, but he continues to take credit for every project in Texas that is the result of the infrastructure bill he voted against. Nancy Mace, of course, voted against the infrastructure package, but then she held they have no shame. She held a press conference to promote a $26 million grant from the project. She said that conveniently slipped her mind when she was holding the press conference. But it was only made possible through the Democratic Congress, the Democratic-led legislation that she voted against. She held a press conference about it. Not about her shame, not about her indecency and indignity and her lack of scruples and her just how much she really hates her constituents. She held a press conference to take credit for the bill, for the results of the bill she voted against. No shame. No shame. Claudia Tenney, Representative Claudia Tenney of New York, voted against the CHIPS and Science Act, but then, of course, under the wire, without mentioning she voted against it, she publicly welcomes the funding for the projects going up in her districts related to energy, climate change. This is who they are. This is who they are. But there's more. I mean, of course, we've seen this is incredible, but not unexpected. And I'm looking at the time. We're going to lose our Progressive Voices audience soon. So let me start this story because we were going to talk about this on the other on the weekday show, and I wanted to talk about this guy, this asshole. You might have seen it. This Republican, he flashed a gun at kids. An Indiana state lawmaker was captured on video opening his suit jacket and flashing a holstered pistol to shaken students who were on a visit to the statehouse in Indianapolis. And isn't that unbelievable? This is what we have to deal with these Republicans. Now, the kids, the young people, this is why I have hope for the future. Because the young people weren't like, cool, man. Cool gun, dude. They were appalled. And they called him out. And they, here's what happened. So, let's see. I think I have the video. I could play. Hold on. Oops, almost dropped my mouse. I'm going to play it off the screen.
One thing, I'm very impressed.
Where is it?
What's happening?
Oh, no, that's not it. Caught flashing his gun. There he is. There's the guy, right? Can you believe this? These people are, I was going to say pigs, but that's an insult to pigs.
In Australia, guns are banned all across, and there hasn't been a mass shooting there in years.
And those people are dependent upon the...
See, did you hear that? So the kids started going back at this dumb bastard who flashed a gun at them, saying, Australia, they banned assault weapons. They haven't had a shooting in years, and now this dumb, waste of human DNA, this Republican legislator, he's attempting to say that the Australians are not free, which I know for a fact causes Australians to laugh their asses off.
What their government tells them what they can and can't do.
See, he's saying, did you hear him? Government tells the Australians what they can and cannot do because the Australians can't carry guns. Government tells them what they can and cannot do, which is bullshit. Guess what? They get to go to a doctor when they're sick. They get to, know freedom. They don't have to worry about sending their kids to school and them coming home in body bags. What is this? What is this bullshit that government is telling people what they can and cannot do? Yeah, sometimes government tells them what you can't do. I mean, this part of being in a civilization because we are the government. Like, what is it that he can't do that he wants to do? What does he think government is preventing him from doing? Because but they would do it if he didn't have his little pew pew. It's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. This is not a well-regulated militia. One dumb fuck with zero comprehension of what the Second Amendment actually is, with this bastardized view that that government that the founders put an amendment into the Constitution, so if you didn't like what they were doing, you can just go shoot them. No, what part of well-regulated militia, of course, I'm asking this, I know the answer. They pick and choose, just like they pick and choose the Bible. They always say, shall not be infringed, but what part of well-regulated militia? Well-regulated. What part of well-regulated don't they understand? But it gets worse.
They're not free. They're not truly.
They're not free. He says the Australians aren't free.
So, do you mean by carrying it?
Yes, I'm carrying right.
I'm carrying right now.
See, and nothing about that makes me feel safe, though. I'm saying nothing about someone carrying a gun makes me feel safe. It makes me feel threatened. Okay, and that's what this is about. This is about feelings. Yes, it is.
People that want to kill you don't care about your feelings, though.
These people, you see, that's about feelings. Yes, it is. And good on that young person. Because it is about feeling. Of course, Republicans are all like, fuck your feelings. Well, we should have a feeling about letting people die needlessly in gun massacres. We should have feelings about our uniquely American gun massacre problem. All right, guys. Progressive Voices, come on over to youtube.com/Sleeper channel/Tarabuster to watch the end of the show. Check out APS Radio News. And we will win. Yeah, that snuck up on me. So we'll get back to this. Hold on. We still have shows. We got a show. Can you believe this shit? What does JD think about this? I know he lives in England. It's so fucked up. They're not free. You think the Australians laugh at that, just like every other nation on earth looks at us with, with befuddlement about the fact that we allow our children to be turned into red mist, or just to be so violated and in school that they have to be identified through DNA. It's such a disgrace. So, and this young person is saying, yes, it is about our feelings. And then the Republican, of course, is saying, oh, you're feeling. What the fuck is, wrong with feelings? And good for the young person for standing up. This is why I can't stand these Republicans. These are, this is the fuck you're feeling crowd, of course. Because, but we're supposed to be very, very careful with their feelings. Trump especially. I mean, you're talking about somebody who's such a thin-skinned little bitch. Don't ever say, oh, his feelings. He's very fragile. These people, they get very triggered. If you got to call somebody what they want to be called, they get very triggered. If they have to call somebody a pronoun that somebody wants to be called, oh, that's very triggering. They think about a woman, having bodily autonomy. It's very triggering. They have feelings about what you read, what your kids can do, what your family can do if one of your children says they need gender affirming care. The same people that are like, fuck your feelings, they're such whiners all the time. But it's just another example of how they're not patriotic. They hate this country. They're incapable of functioning in a free democratic society, in a nation of laws. Because, they could just dismiss whatever they it's really their, it's like I was saying earlier, their definition of freedom is not giving a shit about anybody but themselves. It's also part of this fake, distorted view of, or distorted definition of what it means to be strong, right? Because Trump's like, for example, oh, we got to be very strong, meaning you have to not give a shit. Whenever they say we got to be strong, you better believe that they're going to kick down on somebody powerless, somebody vulnerable. It's like Greg Abbott putting razors in the water. That's supposed to be strong, right? But not following, not being a nation of laws, not following the Constitution in a nation of laws. That's not strong, right? To them, I mean, it's backwards land. It's upside down world. They live in a bizarro world. That's why they think, where they think that a thin-skinned little con man with a fake university, a convicted rapist, is strong because he's gonna hurt the people that need to be hurt. And he's not strong at all. This is a guy who sent a mob to the Capitol because he wasn't strong enough to respect the peaceful transfer of power. Being an autocrat, being a dictator, it's not strength. You're a weak little bitch who needs all the help you can get. You need to manipulate the system because you're not strong. You can't go out there and appeal to the people. You have nothing for them. So you have to inflict whatever, your manias, your will on people. But that doesn't mean, that's not strong. It's the height of weakness. Like when Kim Jong-un has a military parade, has to show off all his little pew-pew, pew-pew. That's not strong. It's the height of weakness. That's what weak and insecure countries do. That's why, for example, Trump wanted his military parade. That's how bizarre and backwards he is, and how weak he is, and the Republicans are. He wanted his military parade. He wanted everybody to parade by him so he can steal valor and give them a salute, even though he's a draft dodging scumbag, a lying draft dodger who couldn't serve his country when he was called because his feet hurt. His little feeties hurt. His feeties hurt, guys. Don't you understand? But he's strong. And the young people I kind of almost feel like it's a threat to me. Yeah. That's not, it is a threat. And then the article continues saying, a short time later, Lucas became frustrated when another student, Alana Trissel, age 17, began saying her worries about gun violence were distracting her from worrying about normal teenage things. Of course. That's what you got to worry about. I get worried when I was working in, some corporate building, and for the first time, I remember, they started doing live shooter drills. Because in New York, in the city, in Manhattan, for years, every 3 months or something, the fire department would come and they go around to every building and every floor and every company, and they have to have fire drills. They give you a little 5-minute speech. If there's a fire, you go here, you go there, this is where you meet, and all this. And for the first time ever, they started including live shooter drills along with the fire drills. Now, if there's a live shooter, this is what you do. Run, hide, fight. And I was appalled. But it's stress. That's what we got to live in this country. That's one thing that is never really spoken about, especially by right-wingers, of course. The stress of being an American. What is the point of being the richest country on earth? You would think if we were a normal, if we had emotionally stable legislators, for example, if we weren't overrun by Republicans and we had a media that wasn't just a propaganda mill for the oligarchy, we would understand, like, this is not life. If you can't go to a movie, or if you can't go to school, let's say, as a 17-year-old, without stressing out if you're going to be shot by some fucker that Republicans armed with an assault weapon, even though he's not in a well-regulated militia, then you're not free. Who's free? Your mother's not free. Your father's not free. Your friends thinking about what I'm gonna, the trauma, and what if you have to survive that? And the Republicans, this is why, for example, Perjury Trader Green is such a repugnant bottom crawler. We all remember the video of her chasing down the what's his name, the survivor from Parkland, the young man that, I can't remember his name. Somebody on the chat room will tell me. And he, her just chasing him down. What do you, and like barraging him with the bullshit in her mind. And he just keeps walking. But this is a young person who's suffering PTSD. He's traumatized. He's turning his pain into action, because that's what you have to do. If you want to survive, if you want to overcome your PTSD and not be crushed by it. And he's turning just like the father who lost his daughter in the same, not lost, she was murdered. I can't remember his name either. What the hell is wrong with me? There's so many names in my head. I'm sorry. But you know, as soon as you guys tell me, I'll remember. Yeah, David Hogg. David Hogg. Exactly. And then who's the father who lost his daughter? Not lost. To say lost is to really minimize it. His daughter was murdered by, with the help of Republican policies, of course. And then they so disparage him, of course. And I remember when, what's his face? Justice I Like Beer, when he was in, during his confirmation hearings, he went over and tried to shake his hand. And Justice I Like Beer was like, turned his back on him because he's a dirtbag. Because that's what you do? Isn't that disgusting? But, yeah, that's your Christian. Yeah, he's a big Christian, too, apparently. Justice I Like Beer. What do we expect? Wait, I'm trying to find it. Oh, yeah, Fred Guttenberg. Thank you, guys. Fred Guttenberg. So, but the young people, they gotta, we're raising an entire generation with another form of PTSD. I mean, because to be an American is to have PTSD. We're always just hanging. I mean, this sword of Damocles is over all our heads all the time. If you get sick, you might get if you get a catastrophic medical diagnosis, will you be able to? Well, I mean, maybe you'll. Will you be able to muster up the energy to create your viral videos, or your videos that you hope will go viral when you get your catastrophic medical diagnosis? Instead of simply concentrating on getting better, you'll have to put together a GoFundMe page, and in between chemo treatments, maybe you can hire a producer to videotape you. Maybe it's very poignant. You can brush your hair and you could see like the hair falling out, maybe puking, and the days you can't wake up, you want to stay in bed because you have no energy from all of the treatments, and and then maybe like the fact that you don't have any sick leave in the country or any kind of leave, because we're the only country that doesn't have guaranteed sick leave or vacation time. So you'll have to, maybe you can, in between the chemo treatments, you can reach out to some celebrities, see if they can hold a fundraiser for you, a comedy night, right? And because I'm not even kidding. For a fact that not too long ago, it was a story. Where is it? One of these filthy, I think was it the insurance racketeer, or was it the hospital? A woman she was diagnosed with cancer. And the woman, before they would treat her, the woman was told that she has to come up with a certain amount of money. And she's like, I don't have that money. And they told her to, go and make a GoFundMe page. All right? That's where we live. And Republicans have people convinced that this is normal. Well, even some Democrats, too. But, yeah. Unbelievable. No, it's not. But that's what I mean. Like, we're just... in fact, I heard Bernie Sanders say something about that. And it was the first time I heard a politician discuss it, that how the American people are simply, one of the things that we never hear or we never talk about is how stressed the American people are, and that is by design. And when the Republicans, I mean, it's just all across the board, and we talked about this on the last show. It's political malpractice the way they stress, not only because we're already stressed, but then they got to come in and add all of the other nonsense. Like everything's fake. Oh, it's not the Trumpanzees didn't invade the Capitol and try to stop the peaceful transfer of power. It's Antifa. It's BLM. It's the FBI. It's like they create all this doubt within some people's minds. And frankly, you can't have a functioning modern democratic society without trust. That's what it requires, a level of trust to survive, which is what really breaks my heart. And that's why when I was talking about COVID and when I looked around the world, and for example, New Zealand, it broke my heart when Jacinda Ardern, I can't, you know me with names. They had a couple of lockdowns, and New Zealand was the first really to come out ahead with the coronavirus, and they started having in-person unmasked sporting events, the first of any society, because they were so good at locking it down when they had to. And I remember reading when they had 0 cases of coronavirus, and then somebody got it. So they found someone had it or whatever. So they sent out the call that said that we have to all go and isolate for the next couple of days until we do our tracing. And the way she put it was our team of however many million New Zealanders will have to come together again and, work together to ensure that we find trace this case back and we can get back to normal. But the way that she put it made my heart ache for this country. It really did. That's how you do it, Oh, so we got assholes like that legislator walking around flashing a gun to teenagers, and the teenagers are saying to him, "I don't feel safe with you. See, I don't see a gun and feel safe, buddy." And he's telling, "Well, you're not free then," and because we're supposed to be suspicious of everybody. We're supposed to hate our fellow Americans, fear our fellow Americans. And, that's why you might have to rise up and shoot somebody if they want to give you health care or something. Or maybe they ask you to, I don't know, you see somebody, they ask you to use a different pronoun. I don't know. And they have to rise up. But the thing is, it is heartbreaking. When the young woman says, yes, this is about my feelings. And he's like, well, he basically says in a nice way, well, fuck your feelings. He says, okay, those are feelings. I'm talking facts. What do you, that's a fact? Australians aren't free? That's laughable. That's a laughable assertion. Talking about feelings, those are your feelings. And the young woman says, that's what this is about. And she should. Feelings. Yes, it is, she says. The people who want to kill you don't care about your feelings. Well, guess what? You don't arm them with assault weapons then, you fucking moron. Don't allow them to have assault weapons. right? They don't care about your feelings. Why are you giving them assault weapons then? Why are you giving them weapons of war without requiring them to join a well-regulated militia? Because if they went to join the well-regulated militia, they wouldn't get in. Yeah, there's standards. I know Republicans lower those standards. They don't want to see. It's true. In the well-regulated militia, aka National Guard, and in the army, in the regular army, and all the services, you can't be a Nazi. You can't be a white supremacist. You will be drummed out. You can't have tattoos. Let's say 88 or Hitler was right or whatever. They look. I was in the National Guard, for those who are new. And that's a good thing, because the other thing is you don't want to train. You don't want to take. It's sort of like the 14th Amendment, barring traitors from running for office. It's a protection for the democracy. You don't want to let other traitors vote a traitor into office so they can destroy the constitutionally limited democratic republic that so many fought, bled, and died for from inside. Just like you wouldn't want to train a bunch of traitors and racists, right-wingers, Nazis, hate-mongering, waste of human DNA that hate this country. You don't want to invest in them. You don't want to invest the training. You don't want to give them military training. That's why they're not allowed in. And we've had this discussed. I don't know if we've discussed it here, but I remember not too long ago, one of these Republicans was saying, "Oh, you call them racist. I just think they're Americans." Remember that guy? I just think they're just Americans. No, it's not. It's not the American Nazi Party. They're just Americans, because he was questioning that, that bar for military service. Well, we need, because they're saying that we need more recruits in the military. So why not let all the racists in? That's what he was saying. Well, they're not racists. They're not Nazis. They're not the KKK. They're Americans. That's what he was saying. Well, yeah, I guess. And they're also Republican voters, I guess. They have no standards, so, okay. But no, thank you. And that's why I have hope for the future. I have hope for the young people in the future, when these old fuckers, die out, like Chuck Grassley and his ilk, because they're not putting up with this shit. They understand. And I have to say, wait, hold on. You know that the other day with that Elmo thing? You saw that probably, right? Elmo checked in on Twitter. How's everybody doing? I'm checking in. And then it caused this, a lot of people to check in, and some very personally and poignantly. And it actually touched my heart. I saw that. Let's watch this clip on the Today Show.
Good morning. You asked everybody how they're doing. So how about today we turn the tables? How are you doing?
Oh, well, thank you for asking.
Oh,
well, Elmo's
makes
really,
me want to
really
cry,
happy.
really.
And Elmo's glad that he got to talk to a lot of people and see how they're doing. It's important to remember that we all have a lot of feelings, and that's okay. If you're feeling sad or worried or confused, then you can talk to someone that you love and trust. And it's good to talk about it.
And I'm sure Republicans just eviscerated that. This mushy country. Everybody's talking about their feelings. It reminds me of when Ted Cruz, he lambasted our military and posted Russian propaganda, or the ad, the Russian military ad where they were all supermen, and he's like, oh, we're so weak. And meanwhile, the reality, if you play the videos of the Russian troops who've been captured in Ukraine, they're these young kids who are crying their eyes out. You know, that's the reality. They're not Supermen. They don't look like the Avengers. But there's Ted Cruz, you know, mocking the American military for reaching out and trying to recruit a diverse group, you know, from our diverse population, saying you're all welcome. You're all Americans. We want you too. We want you to serve too. And that's actually strength, don't you think? Our diversity is our strength. The day that nobody wants to come here is the death knell of this country. That's for sure. You know, there are some countries that nobody wants to emigrate to. You want to emigrate to where? I mean, a lot of shitty countries you don't want to go to. You're not picking up and trying to go to. So, like, I ain't going to Hungary, just say. I ain't going to North Korea, I should say. That's for sure. I'm not going anywhere there's an autocrat. Or anywhere that doesn't have a functioning government. Like Somalia. Try Somalia, Republican. That's another one. That's another Republican dreamland. Think about it. No taxes. No government. It's very anti-gay. Very patriarchal. Right? That's your Republican dreamland. No standards. No government services, no social safety net, no taxes on the rich, no money going into those government schools. There you go. That's your Republican dreamland. And yeah, so when I saw that with Elmo, it really actually brought a tear to my eye, because I kind of cry about this country. I mean, just the way he said it.
Good morning. You asked everybody how they're doing, so how about today we turn the tables? How are you doing?
Oh, well, thank you for asking. Well, Elmo's really, really happy. And Elmo's glad that he got to talk to a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. It makes me want to cry. I don't know. It just really hits me, because you just see so many missed opportunities here, and this is the way we should be, right? And that's the thing about what, liberals, progressives, even as I'm sitting here saying to Republicans, I'm calling them Republicans, and I'm basically asking them to wake the F up. I'm not trying to hurt them. I'm not trying to trigger them. I want them to get health care. I want them to recognize that, yeah, we're in this together. And to say F your feelings, we never say F your feelings, unless your feelings are you're a Nazi, I guess. But it matters. We should care about each other. Isn't that patriotism? What do you think the people who stormed the beaches of Normandy, they did it? I mean, you're talking about the ultimate sacrifice, the ultimate act of love. Everything that we take for granted in this country, it's because somebody, it was like from the 8-hour workday to the weekends to all of the middle class things. All of the policies that created the middle class came from people who gave a shit about others and how they feel and how they would live, even if they didn't benefit from the fight, even if they made the ultimate sacrifice.
was really, really happy. And I was glad that he got to talk to a lot of people and see how they're doing. It's important to remember that we all have a lot of feelings, and that's okay. If you're feeling sad or worried or confused, that you can talk to someone that you love and trust. And it's good to talk about it.
Yeah. But it's also, you know, it's love is an action. Yeah, we should hear each other's feelings. It does matter. If a kid is stressed out going to school because they're not just worrying about their boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever growing up, where they're going to go to college or what they're going to do with their lives. They're worried about they're going to lose their lives senselessly because of, sick policies. And when you say something about it, you're told by a legislator, fuck your feelings. I don't know. It just makes me weep. So maybe with that, for example, that Elmo clip, it's the fact that it hit a nerve with so many people says everything. It says that there is a need for us to, to be more compassionate, to be compassionate. Compassion is not weakness. I don't know. And it is patriotism. Patriots don't leave people behind. We give a crap. We care about others. I care that people are suffering and alone and have no health care, have no, living wages, that they can't take a day off, that things like that. We can do better. We certainly can. And that's one of the things that is so difficult about living in this time with these Republicans is that they have everything about it is backwards. The humanity is backwards. That we shouldn't be humane. That we shouldn't be compassionate. That somehow that's our, that's the way it should be. We shouldn't give a shit about each other. Yes, Boudica's behind me. I'm only stretching it out a little now because I only have 3 minutes left. So, but you know how it goes. It goes so quickly when we get together here on Friday night. Tarabuster at youtube.com/C for channel/Tarabuster. And during the week, it goes quickly. I feel like I'm forgetting something too. We have other things to talk about. We always do, but I don't know. I always set up more stories than I get to. Look at Booty. Isn't she she's so good. I love Booty. Boudica. Oh. I love how she just when I woke her up just now, she's like, who's that? You talking to me? So, yeah. All right, guys. Listen, I want to thank you all for your never-ending love and support and all your everything. Just for hanging out with me on Friday nights over here at youtube.com/C for channel/Tarabuster. Jim on the chat says, did you mention that Republicans suck yet? Yes, I think so. Is there hope? I don't know. Is there hope for Republicans? Well, they only see the light when something affects them directly, and even then, not so much. Then they start saying like, oh, wow, maybe we really do need health care. Like I always think about, not always, but for example, there's one, I remember I listened to, I think it was Tom Hartman, and a lady called in about health care. She said, for my whole life, I was against Medicare for all because I had good health care. Her and her husband worked at the same place. and they had like a Cadillac health care plan. And she said, now I'm losing my job. Both her husband, of course, this was in Republican Trump times, and because we didn't have manufacturing boom, and everything was blowing smoke up the ass of people stupid enough to believe him. And she said, now we're losing our jobs and we won't have health care, and I'm really afraid. So, they only see the light when something affects them directly, a lot of them. But you know what, guys? We will win. We will. Listen to Elmo. We're on the right side of history. We're on the right side of decency, dignity, democracy, humanity. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you, Charlie from APS Radio News. Thank you, JD, for your donation the other day. Thank you, Jim, for your super chats. Thank you, patrons. If you need a mug, want a mug, call, email me, tarabustermedia@gmail.com. We stick together, we win. And I will see you soon. All right, guys. I love you all. Just got busy chatting with a friend, says Pookie's mommy. That's okay. That's okay, kid. We're in this together. All right, listen, guys. I'm going to go and I'm going to pet Boudica. I sing a song to Boudica. I say, let's pet Boudica, Boudica. I want to pet Boudica. Let's pet little Boudica. Look at her. All right. Guys, you are great. Thank you, Twisted Nerves Painting. Thank you for your show and all you do for the cats in your community. Thank you, Twisted Nerves. Everybody, Twisted Nerves has a channel too, so make sure you check it out and subscribe. So does our good friend Trucker John. And yeah, I hope to grow the channel, trying to make more shorts and shit like that. I'm tired. All right, listen, guys, we will win. Let's kiss Boudica, Boudica. I want to kiss Boudica. Come here, booty. All right. Listen, guys, let's get together during the week. And I don't know what else to say, but I will see you very soon. Oh, and I love you all.